Coffee Talk this time is going to not come out on the regular schedule because it's pertinent to current events. I'd like to talk to you today a little bit about shortages. We all know 2020 we had a shortage of toilet paper because everybody was buying toilet paper because that was one of the things on the CDC's list. In fact, it was at the top of the list of things you need to have survived the pandemic. Turns out that was just one of the things that was mentioned, and because the news media listed it out and they knew how important toilet paper was, toilet paper got put to the top of the list. It was not as vital as some other things that you could have gotten. We're still kind of recovering from that kind of thing. There have been other things that there have been shortages of. Then you get into, that's a lot of panic buying. And yes, there was a shortage. Yes, we do have some issues with production of things still with the pandemic, or the pandemic response, people not working, whatever. I'm not going to go into all that. Recently, though, there's been two things in the news that just really just point out this in a severe issue. One is that we've had a pipeline that the computer infrastructure was hit by a cyber attack, and it shut down the pipeline. Now, this is something that deals with southeast to mid-east coast of the U.S. There are inland from the coast states that are dealing with this. The pipeline runs from Texas up to, I forget exactly where, Virginia. I'm not sure. It's the pipeline that feeds this this side of the U.S. We have experienced a gas shortage from it, but not for the reason you think. See, let's talk about that pipeline for a minute. That pipeline has several terminal points where there are big, huge tanks. Those tanks have about a 5-day supply when filled. So every 5 days they shut the pipeline valve from this direction to this direction to fill tanks down the line. They're not filling all the tanks at once. They fill this one, fill this one, fill this one, fill this one. When they get to day 6, they're back to filling the first one. They never really run empty as far as I understand it, but these tanks are big, huge tanks, and they last 5 days with trucks going from them to the gas stations. Now that means somewhere in that 5-day cycle, when the pipeline shut down, boom, there's no more supply till they get the pipeline up and running. Well, as I understand it, even by now, which might be at the 5-day limit, I'm not exactly sure when all this started, and I don't think we'll ever know for sure. Or, within a couple days, they will have that pipeline running again, filling these tanks. It will take a little time to catch up, but that shortage only affects us on the east coast of the U.S., with exceptions. The area I live is the low country of South Carolina, near Charleston, South Carolina. We have a rather good-sized port that is very active in Charleston. All our gasoline supply for the low country area, for our area, does not come in from that pipeline. In fact, I would say very little of it is trucked in from those tanks down to here to fill up our gas stations. We get our supply from the port. Tanker ships come in, offload into the big tanks. Tanker trucks load up at the big tanks and go out to all the gas stations. I know people who've worked out there at the different sections with the tanks, different companies that have the tanks. I've known people that do the distribution, that drive the tanker trucks. Heck, we have trains that leave with tanker trucks full of gas going, out. The last time this pipeline was shut down due to a leak and they had to fix it, they were trucking gas from here up into the upstate of South Carolina, where they were, experiencing a shortage. That means that the only reason our gas stations here should be out of gas is that people are buying up gas in as many 5-gallon cans as they can find. I heard somebody talk about 20-gallon carriers, and then I've seen a picture of somebody filling up one of them 250-gallon IBC totes in the metal frames that people use for all different reasons. Generally, they're water, they're not gasoline. I don't know how long that's going to last, but there's pictures of a guy filling one of those up. People are spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to hoard gasoline here in the low country where we don't rely on the pipeline and the gasoline comes in through the port, and that supply has not diminished, dwindled, or anything. It's ridiculous. It is really ridiculous. Now, there are times, hurricane storms, whatever, where supplies and the supply line is cut off. There are times when production causes the supply to drop. There are times when products coming from China through canals, the canal gets blocked. We all know about that. There are times when supplies are a little short. Generally, it catches back up within a week or two, especially if it's a blockage or a shutdown and it's fixed. A week or two after, things catch back up. There's no reason to panic. Fill up your gas tank on your vehicle like you normally do what you normally do, and probably by the time you need to fill it up again, unless of course you do a lot of traveling, especially in a truck like mine, you will be fine. Now, it seems to me, and it seemed to me for a long time, that the media likes creating a panic. Ever since the pandemic and we've had actual shortages of things, the media has discovered that shortage is a panic and sells media. It also helps the folks who sell things, the businesses, mainly the bigger companies, to sell their product. If they say there's going to be a shortage of something, especially if it's something people like, enjoy, or use. That leads me to an announcement from today. Just saw in the news where Chick-fil-A is announced that they are predicting or have a shortage of sauces, and they're going to limit the amount of sauces you get to dunk your chicken nuggets in or put on your chicken sandwich or whatever. I know people who do all kinds of things. Now, this could be very light possibility due to a supply in the packaging. I've heard people say that. My question is, if there's a supply and packaging issues, why is that not hitting across the board? Why are they just talking about Chick-fil-A sauce? That raises a good question. During the pandemic, towards the tail end of 2020, I believe this when it happened. I may be a little bit off on the timing. It may have been 2021. You go into Walmart and suddenly they have bottles of Chick-fil-A sauce and their Polynesian sauce. Wait a minute, Chick-fil-A sauce and Polynesian sauce in bottles? I can take home? I can have it with my chicken nuggies at home? Yes. This Friday we were in Publix, the local Publix. Stack of it at the local Publix. So there is a shortage in supply of the sauce, and specifically they said sauce, not packages, not packets, not issue in the packaging. There's a shortage of supply of sauce that you are selling in grocery stores under your name brand, and it's just the Chick-fil-A sauce and the Polynesian sauce. Not any barbecue or anything like that. Just those two sauces, which are specific to Chick-fil-A, branded and packaged in a bottle, Chick-fil-A all over it. Everybody loves Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A. I can't fault Chick-fil-A for trying to, sell things. But I know when that Chick-fil-A sauce came out in the stores, there were a lot of people buying it. Newness wore off quick, I'm sure. How many chicken nuggets is the average person going to eat per week or per month? And how much of that sauce do you really need to go in your chicken nuggets? we had a couple bottles that lasted us quite a little while. So it's an issue of you're not buying it every day. Now there's a shortage of it. So now what people are going to be doing, and I assume are already doing, because it's Chick-fil-A sauce, it's good stuff. And yes, I agree, the Polynesian is really good. The regular Chick-fil-A sauce, it's not, not all it's cracked up to be, but at the price, it's worth buying at the bottle. But there's a shortage. We need to go buy it all up. We need to go buy it and stock it up so we don't run out. I am a firm believer that we will see the word shortage being used to boost sales of things. No other reason. Yes, there may be a hurricane or storm or something. When they start talking about the supply and the pipeline shutting down, something like that, there is going to be a real short-term shortage. The supply is always, they ramp up production, they do whatever to meet the demand. It may take them a little time to get it done, but usually that's not a shortage. When you go in, you find nothing on the shelves. As in toilet paper, when I finally ramped up production of toilet paper to meet demand, it started being up on the shelves, and it didn't take them a couple weeks before you could find some toilet paper in the stores, and then the major brands started showing up, and everything's fine. People calmed down a little bit. But in the meantime, the price of toilet paper went up a little bit, good little bit. The amount of toilet paper sold went up quite severely, and there you go. That was a learning experience for these companies. This gasoline shortage, it should have been announced and handled the same way the shutdown for fixing the leak was, and it wouldn't have been a problem. Instead, they tout there's a big gasoline shortage, we're not going to be able to get gas. So people are buying it right and left. Not a week later, there is now a Chick-fil-A sauce shortage. You watch, there's going to be more of this, and people will be going crazy. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. If you agree, fine. If you disagree, fine. It's just my opinion.